ChatGPT just made available to all its users is memory. And what memory is, it starts to learn about you. In the memory settings of ChatGPT, which you should have available now, it starts to remember. And in this particular user's case, it's showing that it's traveling to Canada for a vacation, has a 2-year-old daughter named Lena, daughter loves jellyfish.
So the language model is storing this as bullet points in your settings.
Seeing this become available globally within ChatGPT. And
this is incredibly dangerous, today. By the way. If this got hacked.
Yeah.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace. Turn your idea into a new website. Go to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use offer code TWIST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Vanta. Compliance and security shouldn't be a deal breaker for startups to win new business. Vanta makes it easy for companies to get a SOC 2 report fast. Twist listeners can get $1,000 off for a limited time at vanta.com/twist. And Wistia, all-in-one video platform for business with tools that help you create, manage, and measure the impact of your videos. Try Wistia for free at wistia.com/startups.
All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. Madra Tuesdays have begun, AI Tuesdays. Sunny, it's time for demos. There's a little bit of news, but people are here for the demos. We got some news too.
We got news too. We got demos and news.
Let's get started.
Let's start with Llama 3, because what's happened, last time we talked about it, we had a good episode. I think a lot of people tuned in. Yeah. But what's happened since Llama 3, and I'm going to just pull in like an example, and this will be pretty quick. And this is why, sort of what Zuck was talking about was so important with respect to the ecosystem is what you can see here. This is a good example by Min, and he's kind of gathered 10 ways that people have taken Llama and basically pushing the limits of its capabilities.
Okay. And to recap, Llama 3 is Facebook's open source language model. They released it last week. They're working on number 4, and it's already shot up in the Hugging Face rankings to like the top 2 language models. People are really excited about it because it's smaller, faster, better.
So the first thing we're going to talk about here is a user, Sabu Shubham, have basically taken Llama 3 and you can make it such that you can deploy it locally on your computer.
Okay. So this is a regular old laptop and you can deploy it on that server as opposed to putting it on an H100 is like what somebody would normally do, or put it on a Glock chip like you're working on.
Correct.
Okay. But now I would suspect if you're running it locally, it's incredibly slow and grinds to a halt.
It's slower and it's good for like a maybe personal use cases, or you want to use it without the internet, or if you're kind of coding on a plane and you want a coding assistant without basically, while you're doing something. So there are some limited use cases where it's usable. It's probably going to operate, at the speed of like 10 to 15 tokens a second, which is, reasonable for some use cases.
Got it. So, but it obviously would not, if you were offline, be able to go to the open web. Okay. So this is important. Why? Why is this important? Okay, we understand the fact you can run it on a laptop. Why is this important? Because would anybody actually do this?
What are showing here is that this is a good way that it may start becoming integrated within applications that don't want to go to the internet and don't want to pay. When it's out on the internet, you have to pay someone for the inference, right? When you're running it locally on your machine, we go back to the good old days of JCal box software.
Ah, got it. Yeah, when I was running my entrepreneurial efforts in my youth in Brooklyn, about 7 miles from where I am right now in Lower Manhattan. Okay, so that makes sense. I can think of one application here. If I had this on my local computer and I wanted to index everything on my computer, all my photos, maybe all my documents, whatever, my MP3 files, whatever I had locally. Most people store everything in the cloud, but you might have a copy. People take Dropbox or iCloud or Outlook, Microsoft Drive, and they syndicate here. So you can run this on your local computer like a local search engine of your computer. Got it. Yeah, makes total sense.
We're going to go through these quickly. Someone took Llama 3 8B, which is a smaller model, and extended the context length to 160K.
Explain context length. Give an example, just so people know.
The default model is 8,000 tokens, right? So remember, we just use this proxy. Think of a token as a word. It's not quite, but it's a great proxy. Yep. So the default model only comes with a context length of 8K. So 8,000 tokens.
Which would be, for example, a long newspaper or magazine article. A book,
correct.
That's a 5-hour audio book or something, might be 50, 60,000 words. A long book might be 100,000 words.
Yeah.
So just to give people context here, this small model basically would take like a Sunday magazine or a New Yorker article, a long article, and be able to put that in the context window.
Correct. And the context window needs to have enough space for both input and output. Okay. Right. And so if you're trying to summarize a long book, you wanted to basically make sure it has space to summarize it as well. But what we've seen here is people have extended the training and they use 200 million tokens, additional tokens, to basically extend the context length to 160K. Mm-hmm. It's fun. This is sort of the things that, Zuck wanted to happen. This one's very similar to, things we've said, but like people have made it a Copilot within VS Code. Today, the leading Copilot, Microsoft had their earnings last week, and they talked about, they have millions and millions of paying Copilot users. Well, now you can use Llama 3 with your, basically you can use it locally or you can use it remotely. And basically you can have it as a Copilot in VS Code. Another user here has enhanced it for function calling, which is really useful. This is tool selection. So if you wanted to, you want to use the model in a workflow where it needs to make a decision to go out to the internet to do something, this user here has extended it so that it can do function calling and it knows which tool to use depending on the question. And there's like an example here. It's using like a currency converter to do currency conversions. Here, someone has squeezed it to make it run on a single 4 gigabyte GPU. These are all those things that Zuck was talking about, which could be interesting innovations. Some could be useful, some could spark other ideas. And here, basically what the user has done is they've done like a divide and conquer approach and like how they're doing the layer-wise inference. Here, a user, interesting enough, using Grok, basically built a video summary tool. So what you can do here is you can basically drop in a link to a video and it'll create like an instant summary for you without you having to watch it, which is great. Sometimes we don't have times to watch the 1 hour and 40 plus minute all-in podcast, Intense JCal. And so
it was a long one this week. Yes, for sure.
I'll just do one or two more here. This is just showing the world, the realm of possibilities. Here, someone has combined Llama, and we've demoed that before. That's a vision model with Llama 3. So using the capabilities of Llama 3 with the vision capabilities of Lava.
Who is Lava? Who? That's an open source project, yeah?
That's an open source project,
just to remind everybody,
that is basically, it really meant for research. You have to go get a commercial license. You can't use it for commercial without getting a license from them. And you can see in the example where they've combined the reasoning capabilities, remember, of Llama 3, 8 billion, which was as good as Llama 2, 70 billion, with a vision model up front. And so this is really exciting as
Fantastic.
Well. Yeah. Here, I'll do this as the last one, and then we can kind of move on.
Well, this one might impact some bets, I think. This week in startups.com/bets to see Sunny and I betting like lunatics on AI predictions.
Yeah. So this one, basically, someone, again, created a variant of Llama 3, Abacus, and basically they've made it available within their iPhone app. So this is running locally on your iPhone app for, the small model, which is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is something we thought was going to happen at some point. And now you can think, well, the context window could be all of your contacts on your phone, all of your iMessages on your phone, things that exist on your phone. Maybe it can record maybe you could build an app that records your screen and then adds everything that you record on your screen, puts it in LLM. That's local on your phone. And then if your phone gets dumped or it's encrypted, then nobody would know. So there's this concern that I want to give my information to OpenAI or Microsoft or some other third party. That's no bueno for me. But imagine, and I had the guy, I forgot his name, it'll come to me in a moment, who's doing the recording everything on your desktop. And I challenged him on the pod, like, are you recording Signal on people's desktops? Like, we're recording your whole desktop. I'm like, well, the expectation with Signal is that those aren't recorded. So you're kind of like building a tool without ethics to record things that aren't supposed to be recorded, right? And then you're putting it into a model that you're storing and it gets hacked. Now you're going to be in trouble here. So this would, if it's your local copy, optimized for iPhone, let's say, or Android, stored, encrypted, all of your data for all time, recording everything you do. Could record every phone call or, the metadata of the call in and out, every conversation you have. And then you could ask it, who haven't I talked to in the last week that I should talk to? You say, hey, you haven't called your mom. You haven't texted with your mom. It could start to understand everything on your phone. I think this is very powerful when we start seeing these language models running locally.
Hey, startups, you ever notice how successful businesses are constantly evolving? Well, that's because they add fresh features to get their customers excited. And that's why I am all in on Squarespace, and you should be too. Squarespace is adding new features and revolutionizing their platform all the time. I've told you this before. This includes powering all their tools with AI, you guessed it. And one of my favorites, this is incredible, is Blueprint AI. Yes, it's their guided design system for building a new website. It's fast, it's custom, and it's built specifically for your business needs. They've put over 1 billion design combinations at your fingertips, so you get an online presence that's unique to your brand. We used it to build our own Founder University website. The process was so simple. We were prompted through a series of questions, and then Blueprint AI took control, tailoring everything to our preferences, from website structure to the color scheme, very important for me, and from design elements to font pairings. I love fonts, by the way. It's just one of the things I'm into. Boom. Within minutes, we had a sleek new website ready to go live. So check out squarespace.com/twist for a free trial, and make sure you try this Blueprint AI tool. It's amazing. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/twist to get 10% off your first website or domain purchase. That's squarespace.com/twist.
Since you brought that up, Jay Callan, I do have to give you credit. World's greatest moderator. You just have this uncanny ability, because we didn't even plan this.
No, we never planned it.
It wasn't on today's list, but ChatGPT just made available to all its users is memory.
What does it mean, memory?
Okay, so they basically put this out in beta in February. And what memory is, it starts to learn about you.
Okay.
And so you'll see in this example what they do here. And I'm just going to, for the folks, I'll narrate it, but as I'm doing that here, is what the user does is, I live with a golden retriever named Ellie and Maine Coon and cat named Teddy. What this does is, in the memory settings of ChatGPT, which you should have available now, it starts to remember. And in this particular user's case, it's showing that it's traveling to Canada for a vacation, has a 2-year-old daughter named Lena, daughter loves jelly.
So the language model is storing this as bullet points in your settings. So you don't have to tell it, because I remember there was another feature not called memory. It had a bad name, but I would put in there, I like sources and I like things presented in tables. I forgot what they called that, but this is much better because it's happening in real time. So I wonder if we did ask it, hey, put that in the table, hey, cite your sources, if it would put into its memory, you like sources, you like tables.
Yeah. And, it's doing it sort of automatically. And also, like, you can force it to put something in there. But I'm just bringing this up because you were talking about how you think people are going to use this on local models, but we're seeing this become available globally within ChatGPT. And
this is incredibly dangerous, by the way. If this got hacked.
Yeah.
This is very dangerous. And this is where I think.
Break down why you think it's changed.
Google has your search data. Instagram and TikTok have their algorithms watching what you look at, what you like, etc. That could be very revealing. People have complained before, like, oh my God, I'm suffering from depression, or I have cancer. Like, the health stuff comes to prominence very quickly. Yeah. Oh my God, they have these searches I did, etc. That's why people should use things like the Brave browser, which has a built-in VPN. Shout out to my friends at Brave. And, incognito mode was the big joke. Like, they called it, I think, porn mode, but not private mode is, I think, what the Google engineers jokingly called it, because it doesn't do anything.
And Google got in trouble, right? Because you saw this recently, they were sending themselves information on your incognito mode.
Anyway, this is why this is very important.
I want to finish this example for the listeners, Jake, so the user basically told it the name of its golden retriever and cat, and basically that went in the memory here. That's what it's showing. And then the user, in a future example, it says, create a photo of my pets riding a surfboard. And you'll see ChatGPT create an image, and it says, here is the image of your golden retriever and Maine Coon cat riding a surfboard. I hope you like how they look. And you got to remember that in the prompt, all the user said was, create a photo of my pets riding a surfboard, please. And it used its memory to enhance the response to the end user.
So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be very powerful and very dangerous. So if it knows when, your parent died, got a tragedy in your life, when you got a cancer diagnosis, whatever it is, these things are really not things you want a company like OpenAI or Google or Microsoft to have their hands on, and to have this whole psychographic of you, which Microsoft has had. You can spoof all these things very easily. When you sign up for these services, create yourself a burner account, tell them you're the opposite gender, add or remove 20 years from your age, and use a burner email address so that these companies don't track you. That's like number one. Use a VPN. Number two, I suggest NordVPN or the built-in Brave VPN. Both of those are pretty solid. Both of those also have sponsored the program because I love their products. Just so you know, like the way the ads work on this show, I tell them what products I like. They email me talking about the products on the show. The people who are marketing are like, oh my God, JCal loves Audible. JCal loves, LinkedIn
Great.
Jobs. JCal loves, Squarespace. Great. Well, have him read those ads because it's not an ad. It's like an endorsement. Like I love Notion and Coda and Squarespace. Like all those things you hear me talk about in the ads are actually, I'm using it every day. So we have our choice. We can skim the cream of the best partners. And Brave and NordVPN, two really great products. Shout out to Nord and Brave. You have to use those things. You use a VPN in Brave or no?
No, I use Chrome, and
big
I
mistake.
use VPNs only when I'm traveling.
Big mistake. You got to have your
Really?
VPNs on all the time, shields up, and you can't use Chrome because you're giving every single thing you do to Google.
Yeah.
And Google has shown you, probably like any corporation, whatever they say, whatever you think, you should not trust them. They can dump your search history.
And look, I probably need to think about this more, but like I have different Chrome profiles. I have one for work and I have one, personal one. And my personal one, I like that it's looking at all that because I use the Google search app, and it, newsfeed is that because it's kind of looking at everything I'm searching.
So you've made a decision that you don't mind it.
Yeah. It
I suggest
creates a better experience for me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that is the give take. If you give of yourself, and that's what we're seeing here, and you get more personalization. I do think, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist here. People should use Brave as their default, which shields up as their default, and then back it up with, Chrome or something. That's my best advice. And always by default have your VPN on, only because you could get intercepted and on Wi-Fi, and you'll forget. And like, when I'm at an airport, I'm at Starbucks, whatever. I just don't want to not have NordVPN. Well, just so you know, and NordVPN, by the way, has something called double VPN, which is nuts. They do like a VPN to a VPN. So like, they double layer the VPNs. It's incredible. And then when you're overseas, I like to use SiriusXM, Hulu, NBA.
Yeah, then you can get that. Yeah.
And, like I'd say, those services sometimes play cat and mouse with the VPNs to try to ban them from using it. But I would say NordVPN has the best track record for me in my experience.
I'm going to try that. My current go-to is I don't use public Wi-Fi's. I use my hotspot on my phone.
That does help a lot.
And so I never go on public Wi-Fi's, and if I'm traveling, I use VPNs for the exact same reason you're talking about, so I can get to US-based services.
And by the way, these things went from being like $30-$40 a month to being like $5 or $10 a month. So you don't really have an excuse if it's $100 a year, or like, just get it, folks. If you hear my voice. And I'm not saying that because they're partners. You can pick whichever VPN you like. I'm just telling you the one that is the most rock solid. And I have it on my phone, my laptop, and my desktop. Boom.
Rock and roll. Should we do Tesla really quick? You wanted to talk about FSD?
We only had a small amount of time to talk about it on All In. And, we were asking to get predictions or whatever. So people were like, oh, you guys don't understand. You guys don't understand how FSD works. I'm like, I'm using FSD. Pretty great. And they're like, you don't understand. It's a neural network. It's not the C code. I'm like, I do, because when I click the button, it says we're no longer using C++ lines of code. We're using the neural network. And I've met the guy who runs Tesla. I do understand that, folks. And so when I said, I think it's going to take 10 years for 5 to 10% of the rides to be automated, I was talking, number one, on a global basis, because jurisdiction matters. And number two, just the number of drivers out there available and the competition, how expensive robotaxis are. Incredibly expensive. Teslas are incredibly cheap because they're already out there. But net, there's regulation, There's the technology working in all markets, all climates, all conditions, all roads, all edge cases. And so I thought, I don't know, in 5 years, if of the 10 billion rides Uber's doing, and I think there's probably that, I think Uber might have less than 1% of all rides globally in the world. Like, I'm not talking about paid rides on
just
ride sharing,
trips.
just trips. I think there's something like 1 trillion trips or something. So if they have 10 billion, they have 1%, right? And 100 billion rides would be 10%. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I don't know if this is true, but let's just say Uber's 1% of all global rides. And then who knows how many, how quickly this will roll out by jurisdiction on a global basis. I suspect foreign jurisdictions will do it first. If you're in UAE, you need to get the government's permission, and, they could just have these up and running in Dubai tomorrow because it's a top-down government who moves quickly. Somewhere like the United States and Europe, you're going to have regulators and local and protests. I mean, that's how democracies work. So it's going to be much slower. So I took the position, 1% of rides per year for 5 to 10 years. It seems like back of the envelope that 1% of rides, by the way, is 10 billion rides a year. So that means 10 billion rides, in 2026. I don't think that'll happen, by the way. That's a lot of rides. But let's just say in 2027, it went to 10 billion, then 20 billion, then 30 billion, then 40 billion. What's happening is it's not taking away from Uber or Lyft in my mind. It's taking away from car ownership and public transportation, as well as the dogfight between the ride sharing services. And people are like, oh my God, you're crazy. Next week or this year, Tesla's going to flip a switch and they're going to own all of ride sharing. And I'm like, that's not possible because it's not legal in these jurisdictions.
Listen, a strong sales team can make all the difference for a B2B startup. But if you're going to hire sharks, you need to let them hunt, and you can't slow them down with compliance hurdles like SOC 2. What is SOC 2? Well, any company that stores customer data in the cloud needs to be SOC 2 compliant. If you don't have your SOC 2 tight, your sales team can't close major deals. It's that simple. But thankfully, Vanta makes it really easy to get and renew your SOC 2 compliance. On average, Vanta customers are compliant in just 2 to 4 weeks. Without Vanta, it takes 3 to 5 months. Vanta can save you hundreds of hours of work and up to 85% on compliance costs. And Vanta does more than just SOC 2. They also automate up to 90% compliance for GDPR, HIPAA, and more. So here's your call to action. Stop slowing your sales team down and use Vanta. Get $1,000 off at vanta.com/twist. That's vanta.com/twist for $1,000 off your SOC 2.
You sold your last company 2 companies ago to Ford. You have a lot of experience with self-driving and with car technology. And then Definitive was sold to Grok. So you've got a lot of things in language models. With your unique perspective, you've heard my position. Obviously, Tesla bulls are out there saying they're going to win it all. I get it. If you own the stock, you might talk it up. And obviously, you never bet against Elon. But I think he'll just get as many rides as Uber over some period of time. But I don't think it's actually taking away from Uber Lyft. I think it's just taking away from people driving any service, driving themselves. And that's what's going to go away. Is car ownership is going to go away to car rentals. And on August 8th, they're launching and they're going to show a car without steering wheel, pedals from Tesla, which then means they fire up the production line. And we've seen the production line and how difficult that is. Elon talks about it all the time. Cybertruck took a long time. I think they're up to 1,000 Cybertrucks a week. I remember when Model 3 hit 5,000 a week. Like, this is really hard. He always says, like, designing a car is easy. Producing it is hard.
Producing it is hard,
who knows how long it takes to get the Robotaxi up. Let's say he starts having that come off the line next year. That would be like a record, but let's say he's motivated, and I wouldn't underestimate him. He gets there in 2026. They start coming off the line in 26. Okay. 1,000 a week, 5,000 a week, 10,000 a week. It's a dreadnought with his factory. So 10,000 a week would be $500,000 a year. Okay. $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, $2 million a year. He'll get there, but he'll get 1% of rides a year every year, which is 10 billion rides. What's your take, Sonny? Am I wrong?
So
are the Tesla bulls wrong? What's reality here? Because Waymo is in 3 cities, right? LA, San Francisco, Arizona, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other people in this space. What do you think is going to happen here? Handicap it for us.
I think there's like the following major considerations that just can't maybe overlooked. I think we kind of need to break it up. We are very far away from your driveway to your final destination in any service. The amount of corner cases that exist from every single person's driveway to every single business is very, very hard.
Okay.
And
why are you saying your driveway? Why is that important? You're saying your driveway. Well, you're not saying
without sharing too much information. I've been to your place, right?
Yeah.
And your driveway is hard for a human.
Sure.
It's a long winding driveway. It kind of goes downhill a bit. So in order for it to get, you got to get past the gate, right? And so in order for it to come down to, your front door and then take you out, like it's going to take
that actually is going to be challenging, but let's assume people are in apartments in cities and they're just going down to their street. So, okay.
What I'm talking about is I think we're further away from the full convenience of like what a human can do there. Now, where I think we're going to, and I'm going to give the other side of it, where we're very close to is what they have in Vegas now. Have you tried the tunnels in Vegas?
I haven't been to that yet. Is it self-driving or is there a person in it?
Yes, it's self-driving in the tunnels, right? And so
but
basically
there's no co-pilot there or a host? I thought they had a host in the car.
No, there's a host. What I'm saying is, they put it in autopilot mode.
They put it in autopilot.
It's supervised.
So there's a safety driver.
Yeah. But what you can see is that's a replacement for that Vegas monorail that they're very close to. So I'm just kind of giving you the bookends here.
Okay. The hardest thing, getting to driveways in the suburbs. And I would assume you put snow, sleet, fog into that category as well. All of those edge cases. That's the most difficult. And the easiest is you've got a tunnel with no pedestrians guaranteed, straight shot.
Yeah.
Boom. Easy.
Yeah, you have a big area where you get in, it drives you through some dedicated lanes, it comes out, it drops you off over there.
So that's 100% done. And the other one is not even close in your mind.
Not even close. Yes. Okay. And so where I think we land is bits and pieces now. So I think the bookends we agree on. In the middle now, let me break that down for you. I do think what we're going to have sooner than later is you see this off the 280, like those car share parking lots.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to have is car share to car share next.
Ah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So I go to the 280. I park in one of those parking lots. For people who don't know, there's a car share lot on the 280, which is the giant freeway. Every time you get off, there's just parking lots. You park at that parking lot so that you could meet somebody and you can leave your car there for free. It's a giant parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So I drive there, I get out, there's a Tesla or an Uber or a Waymo waiting for me. I get in, it drives me to Los Angeles, it drives me to Stanford or whatever, or it drives me to the next one. I get off there and then I do what?
It takes you to kind of well-known spots like that. So it won't take you like right to your final destination, but like some pre-programmed area on the Stanford campus it can get to.
Yeah, this specific place. So it's going to take me to university.
Yes.
And this block, boom, it's going to take me to the Stanford campus. That's a very interesting idea. And that would be doable today, no problem, right?
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's kind of closer to the tunnel, right? Where if you're willing to drive from your house to the 280 and do that, it can take you to the Chase Center. And the Chase Center can bring you back or SFO or take your pick. And so I'm confident that that's achieved as well.
Okay. You believe that's achieved, no brainer.
Exactly. So I think that's achieved. And so what we're going to see is like sort of this progression of folks. I think we're going to see progressing from like those examples to then fixed within the city as well, where it's like, hey, I'll get you, close enough to your destination. The cities have already started making changes. Like, I don't know if you notice in SF, like Market Street's closed to regular traffic, but like taxis can drive on it. So
only that. Yeah. You can't pick up or drop off unless you're a bus. So you have to get off of Market to do your drop off or pickup.
Yes, exactly.
And then just go around the corner or whatever. So they're trying to keep the flow going, which they did exactly as San Francisco cleared out. So now Market Street's doubly empty. It went from being chaos to being empty. Okay, great. Hey everyone, quick shout out to our friends at Wistia. Wistia is the ultimate tool every marketer needs to supercharge a video strategy. It's a powerhouse for generating leads. And I want to tell you about one really specific feature that Wistia has. When you're playing a video, let's say it's a tutorial video, and it's teaching people how to use your SaaS product or even your consumer product. Well, a pop-up can appear in the video that says, for more information or to book a meeting, put your email in right now. This is transformative. You can't do this with other video players. That's why you use Wistia. You get to capture people's email addresses right in the video. You have to see it. It is going to increase conversions for your webinars, for your book demos by at least 10x. And Wistia is going to seamlessly integrate into all your tools, Marketo, HubSpot, Pardot. This means all those fresh leads are going to go automatically into your marketing platform, and you can take those leads and score them and then get them into your nurture flows where you're nurturing those leads and turning them into happy customers. Keep moving them through your sales funnel effortlessly with Wistia. They even let you add custom CTAs, calls to actions, to your videos to drive prospects to the next stage of your funnel. So if you're looking to elevate your lead gen, streamline lead nurturing, and enhance user engagement with advanced analytics, Wistia is the perfect tool for you. Wistia is everything a marketer needs to create, host, analyze, and market video. Try Wistia for free by heading over to wistia.com/startups, WISTIA.com/startups. Give me your prediction as to, because people think I'm talking up my book. Oh my God, Uber, I got some big stake in it or whatever. I do have a stake in it, but I'm not really talking my book. I'm trying to call balls and strikes here. So call balls and strikes for me. Let's talk about the ride sharing companies. Uber has a deal with Waymo to put them in there.
Yep.
Let's move out from just Tesla, for example, because there is a big debate. Actually, I want to go two ways. One, LiDAR versus not LiDAR, Tesla versus Waymo. And then I want to go to the networks like Uber's network, adding Waymo, adding Cruise, or those people competing. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with LiDAR versus vision.
Okay, so explain to people what this debate is and if people have won it. Because Elon said years ago, humans are capable of driving cars in all kinds of conditions. Therefore, cameras, which can see further and can see 360, should be able to do the same job. And then Waymo said, hey, LiDAR is necessary because you want to build this huge model. And there's all these edge cases, a plastic bag floats across, or famously the white truck that went across the highway tragically, and the person was watching Harry Potter and wasn't, shame on that person. And I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but really can't be watching a movie with, they tell you to stay vigilant. So take us through the LiDAR. Yeah.
What I would say is you can achieve, full autonomy without LiDAR. But what I will say
so
is,
you're in the Elon camp. It is possible.
But what I will say is, just like planes, you can get into, one of our friends' original planes, which can fly you, from LA to, SF.
Yep.
But the newer plane has like collision avoidance systems and all kinds of other stuff. And so, look, both things can accomplish the same task. One just has a lot more safety features. And what I will say is, it's not that they can't complete the same task, but the one with the collision avoidance system and all kinds of advanced avionics that don't exist in the two-seater plane is the one I would want to be in, is the one you want to be in. Right?
So if we're talking about safety, you feel LiDAR will be some magnitude safer?
Yes, because it's
tell us, 10x, 2x? What do you think if you had to guess?
I'd say when we look at the final data, it will probably be somewhere between 2 and 10x better. Like not like
significantly
100x better. Significantly better. Yeah.
Now that won't matter if there's no fatalities. So do you think people will die in a self-driving car in the next year? A Waymo, a Cruise, a Tesla, whatever, in a Robotaxi. We haven't had a Robotaxi death. We had the tragic Uber one where the woman was playing Candy Crush. She got in big trouble. And the safety driver wasn't paying attention. That was just human error. So we take that one out. Taking aside human error, will we see a Robotaxi death, whoever's Robotaxi it is, I'm not picking any company, in the next couple of years as these things are deployed? Or do you think it's largely, and it was the fault of the Robotaxi, not somebody T-bones it, not,
of course.
A deer jumps across the 280 tragically. This does happen. And a deer smashes into the windshield and kills somebody. Putting those kind of things, do you think there'll be a fault of Robotaxi death in the first 5 years of this being deployed in the United States?
Here's what I'll say. I think we will not see a fatality in a LiDAR-based system for in the next 2 years.
Okay. So you don't think LiDAR will have a death?
I don't think so.
But does that mean you're saying you think a non-LiDAR system could have a death?
I think so. Yeah. Still.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Unpack that. Why? Why do you think that?
LiDAR, the systems that have LiDAR also have cameras. And so for all those things that you can't see with your eyes, the LiDAR is like an additional set of sensors, right? It's like the plane that has, auto collision avoidance, right?
Got it. Okay. So, I understand. So the question is, are we 99.9 safe in a non-LiDAR and 99.9999, 5 nines or whatever? And we'll see. One of the things I think that we're going to realize is in constrained environments, we will have interventions. We will have the cars pulling over. We will have them causing traffic. We saw that with Cruise and Waymo already. But what we won't have is fatalities. And the people who will die, it will be the fault of the humans and human failure, i.e. somebody jumping in front of one of these things or some biker, trying to set a record going down some hill in the mission and, blowing through a red light or a stop sign because their one on their bicycle hit some Strava record or some nonsense. Okay, very interesting. Now let's take the second one. What do you think on a business basis is going to happen here? I said, I think there's going to be 10 people who figure out self-driving in different jurisdictions and different modalities, all in the same time frame-ish, which I would say, let's call it the same 36 months. And what that means is since it's going to take a while to roll these out, even if you were the one who figured it out the 36 month, and let's say Tesla and Waymo figure it out in the first, 6 month in that period, the rollout is so long that there's going to be an opportunity for, of those 10 players, let's say 3 or 4 of them to compete. And then Uber and Lyft have the option of the vendors who just want to sell their vehicles into a network of buying those vehicles. Yep. And there are many at scale folks, whether it's Volvo or Toyota, more about this than I do, who will have these available and they don't want to run their own network. They want to sell into the existing networks. Is my thesis of that balls and strikes and accurate? Because what I'm trying to do is be just completely intellectually honest here as an Uber shareholder and a friend of Elon's and Tesla and a fan of Tesla.
So I own 4 Teslas. What I learned through the Ford experience is that the most likely winner here is the one that has like the closest to the Uber model. And what that really, what does that particularly mean is that the massive capital expense is taken on by the owner of the vehicles.
Okay. Explain that.
If you're trying to build a network from scratch and you're trying to own all the vehicles, right? Those numbers become very big very quickly. You're spending billions and billions of dollars on the vehicles, owning those vehicles, maintaining those vehicles, and doing all of that. The beauty of like sort of the Uber model is you can put rules on it for maintenance and everything else, but all that's taken care of by the owner of the vehicle. And so if I were to bet, given everything that I saw the last few years, it would be the Uber model where people bring their asset into that is the one that's going to win.
Which is what Elon said with Robotaxi when, I guess it was, how many years ago was that? It was before COVID. He did a preview of this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, was that 6 years ago or 7 years ago?
And can I share something we learned during the some of those days, in Ford, which was many people that drive in ride hailing are not permanent drivers. And there's a lot of really interesting incentives. And I just want to kind of commend Uber for doing this, but you can go and get a car through a car rental agency like Hertz and a bunch of other places, which will allow you to drive. And you really only have to do like 20 rides a week. And basically the rest of the time you can use the car yourself.
Wow. Oh, that's very interesting. See, I wasn't aware of that. I do hear these kind of stories. So I'm, let's say, lower middle class. I'm a blue collar person, student. I do 20 rides a week. I make 10, 15 bucks a ride. I get, whatever that is, $800 a month, $1,000 a month. I don't know how much they're making on the average ride, but the average is $37.
Yeah. And you got to pay Hertz like $200. You got to cover your gas and other things. You pay the Hertz
so you're at $300, $400, whatever. You're in the black very quick.
Yeah.
From some number of rides, right? Yeah. If it's $37 an hour, let's say $35 an hour. Let's say 30 without the gas, $30 an hour. And if it costs you, I don't know, $400 for the thing, you got to work 10 hours a month to have a car for the rest of the time. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
There's another analogy. People use this service, Get Around, and some other ones, and they rent their car out.
Yes.
3 days a month for $300 or $400 to folks. It's peer to peer. So if you rent it out 4 days a month for $100 a day, that's $400. And if your car payment was $400 or your maintenance and insurance, everything was $400 a month, whatever it is. I'm talking about you have like a used Toyota Prius or something. You're in the black. It's pretty great.
Yeah. So that's where I think like what gets underestimated. So that's where I kind of like the Uber model where they have the network and then people will bring their car to that network and put it in the network. And it doesn't have to be 10 hours a day and all that. It could do 20 or 30 rides for you a month and it covers your bill. And then the rest of the time you can use the car for whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah. So this leads me to believe that Tesla is going to have a significant advantage over everybody because they have whatever number of millions of cars on the road, adding to it millions of cars a year.
Yes.
But 10% of those decide to put in the network, which seems like a pretty good number to start.
Yeah.
10% of a couple of million cars, 3, 4, 500,000 cars, very significant. Put them into the network. They start doing, 5 rides a day.
Where we started our conversation, as the capabilities increase, where we go, from the fixed route to, carpool to carpool to, full on over the next couple of years, you can decide how you want it used.
Now, talk about the other players. Waymo has decided they want to put their vehicles into the Uber network. You'll be able to pick, just like Uber does, yellow cabs, the livery cabs in the UK, Waymo. If they split the revenue from the Waymos and they have the other ones, they just have the largest network and the shortest wait times, right? So that protects them in your mind as a network business. Or do they need to own one of these companies or merge? Does Ford? So we look at Uber as a company, right? Worth well over 100 billion. Do they need to merge with, and they own 25% of Aurora or whatever. Do they need to bring that back into the company? Do they need to own cars in their network? Do they need to do a deal with Waymo? Maybe Waymo merges into Uber, becomes one thing.
I honestly think
what would you do on a strategic basis
OEMs I think the automotive OEMs are out of the self-driving business.
You think they're out of it?
Yeah, other than Tesla.
Who do you think the top 3 players will be? If you were to, we're sitting here 5-10 years from now, who's going to be the top 3 or 4 players?
I would say it will be Tesla, Waymo, and someone who has licensed technology from either Tesla or Waymo. There'll be 3 players.
Did you see the open source one in China? They're open sourcing it. I think Bill Gurley shared it on our group chat. The open source one. So we sit here and talk about open source. We don't stop. We won't shut up about open source. Do you think open source wins the day here and everybody can use that software on a range of cars?
I disagree with the open source one because this thing requires like continuous improvement and resources. And this is like where open source is just not enough, right?
Got it.
I think.
So it could be an open source program where somebody makes the commercial version of it, the WordPress.com to the WordPress.org, like we talked about.
Yeah. But I think like Elon said this really well. He's like, if you're not spending 10 billion a year on the resources for AI, the open source is just, software at that point, right? So
yeah, it makes sense.
That's why my bet would be Tesla and Waymo in it directly. And then the third player will be someone who licenses their technology.
Got it. And where do you think that leaves the Ubers and Lyfts of the world over the next 5-10 years?
I think cars end up in their network.
Yeah, that's what I think. You see, people have looked at this as like Tesla, Waymo versus Uber and Lyft. And the way I look at it is that group of people versus owning a car or taking your own car. And there's the overwhelming majority of rides, 99% of the rides in the world are done by the owner of the car driving themselves. And then there's a whole bunch of other rides, I'm not counting, that are people taking public transit, right?
Yep.
Those 2 pools are so giant that they're just going to, every year, 1% of those rides, 10 billion rides will just flow into these other options. So those will keep growing. So people are looking at it like, I think people have the wrong, they're setting up the wrong rivals. It's not Uber, Lyft, Waymo, Tesla versus each other, and they're all fighting it out. It's that group every year taking 10 billion rides from people driving themselves. And then what percentage of those rides they get, that is material. So it's kind of like,
what people discount, there's also more and more people on the planet every year, there is,
more rides taken. more economic activity,
more rides to be done, right? So it's just like it's like a growing market, anyways, and so
it's also going to induce more. So if you there are people who don't own cars, they take public transit. They make decisions on where to go to eat or movies or whatever, and I'm talking on a global basis here. So I'm not being classist here. I'm just talking about just objective reality. So you go to another country, there might be a group of people who only eat in their local village or city or town. They don't have the option to go to the town 2 towns over and have somebody drive them there for 20 minutes and eat the restaurant over there or go to shopping over there. Now, if they can take, a Robotaxi for a small amount of money, they say, oh, you know what? I want to try some restaurants over there. I want to spend the day over there. I want to do a day trip, there, or I want to work over there.
That's not even a North American. Like, we would meet all these people that were taking lifts to work every day. Right. Yeah. Because, they had a job across town. Right. And it, saved them time and
point to point was quicker than public transit. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Wow. That's a great discussion. Okay. Let's do a demo or two here. We're at 40 minutes just on news. And I think that we had to do it though. And so I hope this is a great opera, for everybody.
All right. I'm going to do 2 or 3 demos really quick.
I think Cort had a product he wanted to show too.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, well, Cort. I was talking to Cort about something I saw. Cort, you want to jump in here?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey everybody, see producer Cort. He's in his bunker.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you a prepper, Cort? Nobody's ever seen producer Cort here. Everybody knew producer Nick, but here's producer Cort.
Yeah.
Say hi.
Producer Cort.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Are you in a bunker? You're in your bunker.
I'm in a basement.
Are you a prepper?
What's a prepper?
Like you have like 100 days of food and you're waiting for like the end of the world, like Fallout or something?
I don't even have 1 day of food.
Okay, great. Perfect. You're not a prepper.
I'm the opposite end of the spectrum as a prepper.
Okay, good. Okay, you're a risker. So what was this thing we were talking about?
We had talked about the Life2Vec AI death calculator that's been getting some buzz.
You heard about this? Sandeep, you heard about this?
Break it. No.
Here we go. Look at this. Producer Cort showing up with a demo.
So this is the Life2Vec.io, which I saw some news articles saying, be careful using this. They were saying it's strangely accurate. And they even say something ridiculous like 78% accurate, but I don't know how you would come up with that statistic without a lot of years of testing. And this is what they do. They ask you to fill out stuff like your age.
You're 47, Cort?
I am 47.
Oh, wow. You got such a young energy. I had no idea. You're not allowed to ask when you hire people, send people their age. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Cort, it turns out it's 47. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
I snuck in. Maybe if you had known that, I wouldn't have snuck in. So
no, you know what? I got to tell you, I just judge people on their attitude and their aptitude and their execution. I don't really care about age. So 47 now, you don't smoke, you don't exercise regularly, no major health conditions.
Any major health concerns? No. Diet, I put unhealthy because I'm stressed and I work too much. Alcohol consumption, no, I don't do that. Stress level high, hours of sleep 6, positive. Family history, positive. Genetics impact, I put neutral. Access to healthcare, I'm here in Canada, so it's adequate. Socioeconomic status, I stuck middle. So, there are a lot of statistics that you could try different things if you didn't know how to put yourself in. So where are we? Education level, fine. Occupational hazards, okay, whatever. And then recreational activities. So let's press calculate. I'm going to live 56.5 years.
What?
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying you got 9 years left. I think that has to do with your occupational hazards. I would say it's 0.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Environmental factor impact would be, I guess, very positive too. I got 2 great kids. Shout out to the kids. Right. Let's calculate that and see if I live a little long. Not really.
I don't know what's going on here. So this thing has no credibility.
Or it's completely accurate and I got to start prioritizing some of my things for the next 8 years.
Yeah, maybe we got to get your affairs in order. And so this is using AI to do your life expectancy. It makes no sense. It has no credibility. Okay. Death calculator. I give it an F. And this thing is stupid and it's
or
dark concept.
I'm going to give it a ridiculous F. Yes.
You give it an F. Okay. So there's your first Cort. What do you give it, Sandeep? Anything?
I don't even want to rate it.
It's too dark. It's too dark. All right. Thanks, producer Cort. All right. Good job, producer Cort. I like the contribution. Okay. Well done. Dismissed. By the way, I gave it to him. I told him, check this thing out. I will find out if this is legit.
Oh, okay. I feel bad. I thought he would.
I just want to give some shine to producer Cort, who's doing an exceptional job since producer Nick
I'll give him one of our demos, though, Jake.
Well, I would think it would be interesting if, to be honest, if it took your watch, your weight, your how much screen time you're doing, all the factors, and then also had you talk to it and
answer questions. And then it might actually, just from a video of you, be able to tell from your eyes, your blood, your body type, and you put in your Pronovo. AI is going to be able to tell you your life expectancy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Very soon. Because doctors do this already. If you had your oxygen, and everything, your stress level was actually from your heart rate, and your sleep monitor was from your sleep monitor. So I do think the death calculator, as dark as that is a really viable, real product. I wonder if there's a startup working on it. I think a startup that did livelonger.ai, wouldn't that be a killer startup to try to look at all your data and give you suggestions in real time about how to live longer?
I think we know the answer, Jake. I'll eat better, work out,
calories.
Go see your fucking doctor.
But the
thing is, I don't think you need an AI to tell you how to be healthier.
But it might find some edge cases like, hey, you're under too much stress, you're not sleeping, and you're not drinking enough water, or your heart rate's a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it finds some edge cases.
The Apple Watch does that stuff for sure.
It's starting to give you some alerts, right? Like it tells people if they have
your heart rate, if you're doing sometimes we're playing poker and I'm like, oh man, I could see it shoot up for me. And then you can give me that shot.
That's how I know to go all in. That's when I know you're bluffing.
No, you always go oh, Sonny, go all in here.
That's usually my advice to Sonny. I'm like, Sonny, just go all in. Okay, give me a demo here. Come on, press me.
Okay, we're gonna do a couple. There's some awesome ones here. Okay, so this is by the founder of Signal. So it's funny. So my feeling is, and I already did one before, and we can do one live. So let me show you. It's called Vibecheck.market, and what it does is, so this is just kind of building on. Last week we had the vertical search engine. We've been working on this, obviously, building on our Mahalo experiences, Jake.
Yes. Oh, God,
and so
PTSD.
on this particular one, and, I did espresso machine. And so I'll do one live with you here. It's been overloaded. So give me the best. What do you want the best of, Jake?
The best headphones.
Because, headphones. Okay.
Yeah. These are my Focal Bathies. Shout out to my friends at headphones.com. It's not a sponsorship, but they sent me a pair of these because the founders are a big fan of mine. And they heard me say com.com, get a great domain name.
Yeah.
A decade ago, they followed that playbook of inside.com, com.com, et cetera. And they got headphones.com. And then they had all this credibility. And then people started buying the headphones there. And there's this company, Focal, that makes these Bathys, Bathys. And these have a DAC built into them and the digital audio conversion. And they're $800, so they're not cheap. And I've had all the different versions. So these are like a step up, but they have a built-in DAC, a digital audio converter, and you plug it in through your USB. And then I listen to FLAC files now, or this Qbuzz, which is a high-res streaming service, as opposed to Apple Music. This one has all FLACs. And and the speakers are really high quality, and they angle towards your eardrums. And Qbuzz, Qobuz is the app I'm using with the FLACs.
Okay.
So anyway,
if
the
servers are overloaded on this one, I'll try it in the background.
Oh wait, it's using all the subreddits to do this?
Yes.
Whoa,
exactly.
Do they have permission? Because remember, Steve Hoffman, friend of the pod, was like, you got to have permission. What's the vibes here? They have an API access?
Well, they have something. So look, it's saying server overloaded, so we can't do your headphones. I'll try it one more time.
You had one for the espresso machine. It was really good.
I did this earlier. And what's cool is it asks a few questions as well. Once it analyzes, in the headphones, it would have been over the ear. And so it does it. And basically it gets you a top pick out of it, your alternative and your budget pick. So it's it's like a real-time wire cutter.
Yeah, but it's I love it.
AI wire cutter.
Yeah. And so the question is, should it be allowed to use Wirecutter? And this is the perfect example, not to constantly go back to rights and clearing rights. What this says to me is this demonstrates why what ChatGPT 4 and OpenAI did in stealing all that content from the New York Times is so unethical.
Okay.
And because you can see here, we all want this product.
Yes.
We want this product more than we want Wirecutter. Wirecutter has the opportunity to create the derivative products from their IP.
Yes.
So this has proven my exact point. And the New York Times is going to get, I predict, an injunction against ChatGPT 4.
Your point is that because people are not licensing the data, this chaos is occurring.
That they have stolen the opportunity to create this product from their IP. The way IP law works is...
But this is coming from Reddit.
Right. And Reddit, it's their opportunity since that's their content, it's their data, they own the data. Now you might say, oh, the people who posted it on it. No, the people who posted it gave a license for all time to Reddit. Therefore, Reddit, and they did that in exchange for Reddit being free and providing the community and all that stuff. So Reddit or Quora own the rights to build these type of products. The New York Times Wirecutter, they have the rights to this opportunity.
What was the pricing here? What's your budget for it?
Go to 500 to. I should go 2,000 plus. All right, that's fine.
Okay. You need noise canceling or no?
Sure.
Open back, close back, no preference.
No preference.
And so hopefully this completes
Look at this, and it's like highlighting all the subreddits it's getting the answer from.
Yeah.
So by the way, that's Sony. I have those. Those are fantastic. They're like $300. So Sennheiser's, that's another great brand.
Yeah.
That's correct. Those Barodynamics are also incredible. And people do love those. So those are all fantastic, and they're all dialed in perfectly. That was a perfect answer based on my extreme knowledge of this space.
500 to 1,000.
Now do it again, and then pick over 2,000. I just want to see if it picks the focals.
This is like instant wire cutter. I love it. It's like, I don't have to. And
here's the thing. And this is where the stealing and the IP gets even more complicated.
We don't know. Maybe these guys went and cut a deal with
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying on these subreddits, because it's user-generated content, you can be sure that people said, Wirecutter picked this as the budget pick. Wirecutter picked this as this. And they cut and paste, and they put all that data there.
I see.
They put, the New York Times says this. Oh, and Consumer Report says this. So,
where does that land? If someone says that on Reddit, where do you put that now in terms of content? Whose rights is that?
Yeah. So
if I go to Reddit and I go, oh, I read on Wirecutter that the Sony whatever are the best.
If the person is cutting and pasting it, then that person has committed copyright violation, and it belongs to the New York Times. If that person wrote their own thing and says, I disagree with this as the budget pick, but Wirecutter pick it as the budget pick, Consumer Reports pick this as their budget pick, PC Magazine, Tom's Hardware pick this, Engadget pick this, Vox pick that, Verge pick this, and they do their own that's okay, because they're making a new product, which is like they're going meta and comparing all these things to each other. And now somebody will say like, oh, well, that's what the AI is doing. But the AI is an automated commercial thing, non-commercial. An individual doing a non-commercial message on a message board is not interfering with the commerce and the revenue opportunity. And they're not doing it at scale for every single category. This is doing every single category. So the scale of it also is part of the difference here. I give this an A. Perhaps I'm not going to give it an A plus because I haven't used it enough, but out of the gate, it's an A, because this, from the one example you gave, it nailed it. If we were to take that and compare it to Wirecutter, Tom's Hardware, PC Mags, Verge, Engadget, the best one, whatever, it would be probably very accurate. And I think that's what's happening here. Also, they could be indexing the links that are on the Reddit page. So if I was building this, I would say, hey, if they link from, headphones, which I'm part of that subreddit now, if that linked actually to, I don't know, the Engadget or the Tom's Hardware reviews, I would then go ingest that to make it work and make a better product. So they're probably doing that as well. So anyway, excellent job. It's A. Okay. I do want to know if they had the rights from Reddit to do this. Steve Huffman can answer that question because they have a licensing business. And this is what you should do.
Get in touch and,
what's the market cap of Reddit right now? I got to maybe have to put a J trade in here because I think this will be built into Reddit soon. And I think this could be like the beginning of a great J trade. It should be worth 5 times revenue.
Reddit market cap right now, 7.5 billion.
That's a lot. Really?
Yeah.
On 800 million in revenue in 2023, I believe. I don't know what they did in Q1 or whatever, but let's say they did 250 in Q1 and they're at $1 billion. That's 7.5 times revenue. It should really be 4 times revenue. So that's a bit of a challenge. Yeah, it's overvalued right now. It should be worth 4 billion, 5 billion. But maybe people are making the J trade and they're jtrading.com based upon the thesis I'm putting out here, which is if this is what you did on Reddit, you asked it questions like this, Reddit would become supremely valuable. Like if I asked it, what movie should I watch tonight? Man, that could be really powerful. So shout out to the Reddit team. All right, what do you give it? You got to give it a letter grade. I'm A.
I give this an A. Like I'm a really, really big fan of Wirecutter. I think I probably end up using it like weekly, if not more often. And so having your own custom one was really awesome. And like I like the way they did it, so it went and looked at all those subreddits, because like that's usually this like crazy algorithm you do when you're looking for the best thing, and just saving all that time.
Let's do one more demo here.
So this one, Wisdolia, it's awesome. Basically, give slide decks, PDFs, whatever. I did this beforehand just for speed here. I shared this glossary of American medical terms to it, which you can see here. This is like a several really, really long document here. I shared this, and what it does is it takes that and basically turns it into flashcards for studying. And so basically it creates this from that PDF, which is right up here. What is the medical term for this? I mean, I don't know what it is, right? And so it's going to be like, no, that's wrong. And it just basically goes through and you say next. And basically, so it takes any piece of content you give it and creates a kind of flashcard learning system from it for you.
Yeah. I think we had a startup in our accelerator. It's going to come to me in a second that does this.
Okay.
They do a really nice version of this, and they are making some decent money. They've been building in public, and they make study guides based on your notes from your classes and information like this. Because there's like a whole long tail of things you could do in education around this concept. Like you could, if you were the teacher, you could make a test that's unique for each student. If you're a student, you could do the test, and then whatever you didn't get right, it could do adaptive learning and figure out why you're not getting it right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
this is the AI disruption of that.
Yes. And so this is apps. Well, no, the one we did is doing it in AI, but they do the long tail of all of the things. Okay. And so this is definitely a real space. I think it's fantastic. I give this like a B because they're doing one thing, but there are
I like how they do it across videos and other things, right? Which is, I think, pretty cool as well. So I kind of give it an A. I thought it was like very, very flexible in its input, which I thought was super powerful. And
basically, go take data, make flashcards, learn faster. Boom.
Yes, and
does it run the flashcards with you in an interface? Yeah. So that's
like that's
also
why I was showing it right here. Yeah. Like these were it, right? And so.
Yeah, fantastic.
You just kind of go through it. Hey, which does this? I don't know. I'm just guessing these things, right?
Is it right? I think that this is fantastic, and it's going to help people learn faster.
Yeah.
And then just being able to say to people, teach me to be better at my job, teach me about language, teach me about the states. We used to have these kind of things. Like if you wanted to learn all 50 states, this is a great way to learn it, right? There's always these people, I remember I was super impressed by it, who could repeat all the states. Like Sarah Silverman can alphabetically just do every single state, boom, super fast.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, one last one, J-Cal. I want to give this both of them actually are using Grok, but these guys just integrated Grok. This is a tool that we talked about before. We talk about Globe Engineer, and it's like, hey, I want to do a trip to New York, and you can see it starting to build up.
Oh, right. This is this. We saw this one last time. I think I gave it a B. It's a really cool
Exactly.
one.
So what they've done is, you see it's doing its work, but I want to show you here. They've gone and integrated.
This is Globe.Engineer.
Exactly. So what I want to show you, this one's still running back here, trying to build out this itinerary for New York. But in parallel, I selected Grok over here, and I say I want to go to London. And what you're going to see how fast it just basically goes and does the same thing. And so this is kind of just building on like sort of what we've been talking about, is building really quick user experiences, and having it come back quickly makes it more iterative for you. So I wanted to give these guys a shout out because they integrated Grok into it, and I've been using it all the time. This is actually a product I've been using myself because it does that really wide search. Now what I'll say is, let's try your headphone thing in here. So what was you'd say, use
high fidelity headphones.
Okay, high fidelity headphones. All right. And
which are for short or hi-fi. Yeah. But let's see what it does here. Over the ear.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just another way to get the same data in a really great way. And it's getting some of the great brands, but it didn't get the best brand. So that's interesting.
And what was the best brand?
It's this Focal. So just say most expensive next, or most expensive hi-fi headphones.
I should have done high fidelity. Let me do this again, because you can refine it.
That's what I just did, because I'm doing taking kids to Japan in the summer.
Yeah,
and it really is like helpful.
And I did most expensive. So here we go. Okay.
Boom. So Sennheiser, Barodynamics, Snowball. Yeah. I mean, it's getting a lot of them. So it just didn't get the ones that I think are the best. But it's using the open web to do this. Type in Focal next. See if it finds Focal.
Yeah, I found them here.
Yeah. Okay, great. Amazing. Yeah. And then say sort by price.
Yeah, under 500, between 1,000 and 2,000, over 5,000. Wow.
Yeah, look at that. So look at that. The over 5,000. I have the Bathies, which are the 800 that do Bluetooth and let you plug them into your USB-C and get you this digital audio conversion built into the headset. But then these other ones have these thick cables that plug into a DAC, like each ear plugs into the DAC and has this like super high fidelity experience. And those cost 5,000. And they're just extraordinary. The top of the line focals. Yeah, they're pretty amazing. Yeah. All right. This is great.
See how this changes the research experience? It's really, really awesome. I really think it's
I think it's just great, like brainstorming. This was called mind mapping back in the day, and you would do it manually. There was a company called thebrain.com. And there was a guy, Jerry Colonna. So if you type in Jerry's brain, he's was a very famous analyst, and he worked for Esther Dyson, Jerry Mikowski, and fabulous editor of technology. You might not know him in this generation, but over time he kept launched the brain here. So he's been keeping notes on technology for over 20 years. And so this is like a living representation of all of his notes. And like you can see, you just click on stuff of any topic, and good starting points might be a good place to start. So click on good starting points. And what you see is this software. You hit good starting points and
laws, this, that.
Yeah, big questions. I love the idea of big questions. So you hit big questions, boom. And now here's all the big questions. Click on, do beavers know how to build dams?
Yeah.
How do beavers know to build dams? What does the universe store this knowledge? Like really interesting, like that he did this. But what this is doing is AI is doing it automatically. This isn't following one human. Excuse my voice, everybody. I was at the Knicks Philadelphia 76ers game in Philly yesterday.
Yeah. Let's try this. Let's go here and
look at that. And that's the awesome service we invested in, Monic AI, MONIC.ai.
MONIC. Okay.
Is the one we did.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Study guide. That looks awesome.
Yeah. There's 100,000 students using it right now. So it's a lot more sophisticated than the one we showed today, but the one we showed today is great. So I don't know. I give Globe Engineer still like a B+. I think the interface is a good start. The data looks relatively good. I think it's still pretty raw. So I'm going to just give it a solid B, actually. I'm not going to give it a B+ here.
I'm going to give them a little bit of a bonus points for integrating Grok. So they're going to get A-.
Oh, okay. Great. I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. You can follow Sandeep, x.com/Sandeep. I'm x.com/Jason. Go ahead and mention us. Sandeep will be speaking at the Liquidity Summit. That's the summit I do every year. This is the 6th year. We used to call it Angel Summit. Now we have a lot of LPs from giant institutions, and Sandeep's going to be speaking. Liquidity Summit is June 2nd to 5th. Go to liquiditypod.com/summit. Tickets are about to sell out. You can apply. 125 LPs, GPs, the world's greatest speakers, of course. It's just nuts who's going to be speaking this year. David Freeberg and Chamath and Sandeep are here. Ibrahim from Mubadala, Gavin Baker from Atreides, Phil Deutsch, our bestie, Monique Woodard, Michael Jones from Science. They did Dollar Shave Club. They did Liquid Death. Sky Dayton, another bestie, is going to be talking about airline safety. Phil Deutsch on energy. Sandeep on AI. Pejman on startups. Just all kinds of great people. And we'll look forward to seeing you at Liquidity Summit. It's not for founders. I know a lot of founders want to come and try to raise money, which is a great idea. But this is just for the LPs and the GPs and the capital allocators to get together and break bread. I'm sorry, but
I really think it's great you're doing this. I think it's it's a very, really good environment. And then, out of it will come opportunities for all the startups and entrepreneurs.
And you've been at it before. You've come a couple times. We have poker at night on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, we have poker. Everybody hangs out late. It's really about bonding. And on Tuesday afternoon, people go do an event. They can go wine tasting, clay pigeon shooting, all kinds of great stuff.
Oh, I have an idea for you. Absolutely. And maybe this is like a little bit of a balance. Maybe you guys can put together like a little binder of interesting startups. That obviously includes stuff there, but other things as well.
That's a great idea. Right? Yeah. What we're doing is we're giving everybody a profile page. So each LP and GP coming gets a profile page. Did they ask you about your profile page yet to fill it out?
They did. Yeah. I saw some.
Great. And we're giving everybody a giant PDF with everybody attending ahead of time. And then, not this one, but the next one, we'll probably have a way, we might do like a speed dating, or We might give the venture firms like a little networking area where they have a table, and then let the LPs book meetings with them for 20 minutes and then 10 minutes to move from table to table. And we just do a little speed dating. Everybody gets to meet each other in 15 minutes, say what they're working on, and exchange notes. And I think this would be a lot of fun to do like a speed dating thing. I'm into the speed dating concept right now because I want to meet more interesting people, but I don't want to do 1 hour meetings. So I'm trying to figure out how to do like a lightning round speed dating. Hey, here's what we do. Share some materials.
So these demos, these got you into these, like each demo is like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, you got me addicted. Well, it's the TLDR. I'm giving a new framework to my team. I call it WTF. WTF is it?
Okay.
WTF, why should I care? WTF, what now? So you show me Grok and console, right? Okay, what is it? Okay, Grok does inference at a fraction of the cost and at a massive speed difference. Okay, why should I care? Oh, well, you're doing a startup called Inside and you're trying to do this inference really fast and give people fast data. This is why you should care. Okay, what's next? Oh, you should get one of your developers to go to console.grok.com, Grok with a Q. Giving the final plug, go to console.grok.com.
Yes.
See you next time. Any other plugs? Sandeep, I got it.
No, that's it. We're
That's
good.
it for the plugs. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, everybody, I want to tell you about Founder Fridays. What are Founder Fridays? This is an opportunity for you, if you're a founder, to get together with a dozen other founders on a Friday, the first Friday of every month. Why is this important? Well, if you meet with other founders, you can talk about the things that are working at your startup and the things you're struggling with, everything else in between. And then you can trade notes and you can make friends. It's really hard to be a founder, isn't it? You're alone all the time. You've got to solve all these problems, and other founders are having the same experience you're having. It's isolating. It can be scary. It can be thrilling. And people don't understand what you're going through. If you go to a dinner party and there's one founder and 7 other people, you feel like a mutant. You feel like somebody who doesn't belong there. Nobody understands why you're doing your startup, why you're taking this risk, the problems you're facing, right? They're NPCs. This is a non-NPC event. Every first Friday of the month, we do Founder Fridays. We're doing them now in 71 different cities. And if this sounds appealing to you, well, you're a founder and you want to hang out with maybe 7 other founders around a round table. You can have breakfast, you can have lunch, you can have dinner, you can have coffee, you can co-work, dinner, however you want to do it. And it's free. We've been doing this for a couple of months now. We've had 71 meetups around the world and 929 founders have joined. I want you to join and I want you to come to the next one. It's Friday, May 3rd. Now, if your city's not on the list, what are you going to do? You're going to apply to run your city with 2 or 3 other founders. Again, for founders, by founders. From the #1 podcast for founders this week in startups comes founderfridays.tech. Go to founderfridays.tech to sign up. And you're going to meet all these great founders. And we give like a little prompt. And this Founder Friday taking place on May 3rd, we want you to bring 2 things with you. Your most significant challenge and one thing you wish you'd learned earlier. We're going to go around the table and each person is going to do that. And then you'll get feedback from your peers. It's incredible. It's magical. And we don't want this to get big. We want to keep it small. So if you plan on going and you're interested and it sounds appealing to you, just go to founderfridays.tech, T-E-C-H, right? Great domain name. founderfridays.tech, and please take pictures and then share those pictures on Twitter @mention us, @TWI Startups, @Jason. And it doesn't matter. You could be in San Francisco, New York, Chicago, LA, Paris, Tokyo, Dubai. These things are happening all over the world. Again, 71 cities. Let's get it to 100 cities. We've got over 900 members. Let's get it past 1,000. Go ahead and sign up and you'll be in touch with my team and we'll see you there. Once again, founderfridays.tech.